recoup. Okay, so I'm going to formally say Agbo Ato, blessing of long life, a couple, welcome. Adupoi Ori Egun, we thank the ancestors for the blessing of their wisdom. Leah Lewis, am I saying your name right? Are you a new participant here? If you are, welcome.
Alafia, Ibarui Boyebo Cheche, greetings.
Listen, introduce yourself a little bit. Where are you from?
Yes, Alafia. Awo Falokun, my name is Leah Lewis. My name of initiation is Iya or Ria Day, Efuniemi.
Okay.
And I am from Shreveport, Louisiana. And
you
when I
shut
was...
the door. Stop it. Stop. You're my new neighbor.
Baba, listen. I was reading Baba, first I had a dream. And then I'm like, what does this dream mean? And then I was checking my Facebook yesterday and saw that you were coming here. And it became, oh my God, that's what the dream was telling me. And so I'm here this morning because this is my home. This is, I'm a Shreveport woman. This is my home. And yes, Baba, I don't know why you're coming to Shreveport, but I knew I had to be on the line.
Well, let's just say I'm coming to Louisiana. My whereabouts are indeterminate at this point, but I do want to reach out to you and get the lay of the land in terms of the Risha community in this part of the world. So if you don't mind, after we're through today, I'm going to video call you. Can I do that?
That'll be perfectly fine. I would love that. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. And actually, it might. Yeah, we will do that. Thank you. So tell us about your history in Ifa Orisha.
Absolutely. I am Omo Obatala. I'm a child of Obatala. I was initiated in the Lukumi tradition in the year of 2000. I always remember in terms of my children's age, but that was in 2002 when I was initiated in Cuba. My madrina is Iolosha Egwinlade Fulani Suni Ali, who is a great Black revolutionary, part of the New African Republic in her youth. Had political exile, had to leave the country. She's now an ancestor, Ibaye Tarun. And so, yes, sir. Her father and children, her husband, and children continue her legacy. So she created Ile Ajaguna, that would have been like in the early 2000s, and the Ile has not been really functioning for some time, but the people are great and carry on. And my spiritual family in Havana is Raymond Sanchez, Baba Raimundo Sanchez Okanbi, who's a child of Egbe. So it's been many years since I've been to Cuba. Over the years, I have, kind of been learning, but I've been learning and studying and growing with many great elders, including Yeye Fini, Yeye Louisa Tish. I served as Yeye's administrator for the past 5 years until very recently. I was facilitating her online courses and programs. I have a great connection with community in New Orleans, where I went to college and grad school as a young woman, and started the Ma'afa commemoration there in the year 2000, which continues every year. And yeah, that's kind of my story in a nutshell in terms of the tradition.
It looks like you're celebrating Juneteenth. It looks like you're celebrating Juneteenth. Yes.
Yeah, I teach online classes also to children, and so this is my backdrop for my Juneteenth lesson, and it was so festive, I just kept it up.
I like it. We have another new face here. Malik, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell the family where you're from.
Yeah, sure. My name is Malik. I'm from Dallas. I mostly came because I was interested in E5 about 2 years ago. I had a friend who was a devotee of Yamaya, and I got interested in what she was learning, and I learned about Orunmila and the Odus. So I started buying books about it, and I'm currently reading Ori by Baba Falokun, and that's pretty much everything. I'm a public school teacher. I'm just looking for ways to teach like more reasoning to my children, and the things that I'm learning in Ori are some good concepts that I think would be good for the kids that I take on this year.
Well, welcome. We had a great conversation this last week on a video call. I appreciate it. Listen, Chris Hewitt, are you a new face too?
Hi, everybody. My name's Chris
Oh,
Hewitt.
Chris, yes. Well,
Sorry. My name's
sorry,
Chris.
I know who you are.
Okay. And I've been a Babalao
No.
for about 15 years now. I'm a child of Falokun, and I'm here to try to find different ways of cracking the old nut.
I like it. We had a good conversation earlier in the week as well, so welcome.
Many
Awolo
blessings.
Contour, I'm not sure I recognize that name. Introduce yourself. Oh, is it F1 time?
No, Baba, it's me.
Oh,
Hi.
it's stop it. Yeah. Well, who gave you that name?
I can't remember. It's been so long
All
ago.
right, forget about it. Forget about it. Cedric, is that a new face too?
Hey, Baba, yes. My name is Cedric. Coming from Atlanta, Georgia. Been a Orisha devotee for I guess since 2018. So I'm still learning, just coming to class to get a different perspective on Ifa. And I love the way that you teach and break it down. And so I'm learning a lot. I've been a fan since I been reading your books. So to be able to come to class and hear it from you it's awesome. So thank you.
Well, you're too kind. We thank the ancestors for their wisdom. I think the last new face I'm seeing is Aikin Yele. Is this your first time? Help me out here. Hello? All right, so Nisi, yes.
Hi, Baba. Just wanted to be sure if I caught the gentleman Malik. Did you say you're currently reading Ori by Baba Falokun?
Yes.
Do you know that is Baba Falokun?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, I probably should have just said you, but yeah, that makes sense.
yes, okay. All right.
Listen, I called him earlier in the week and we had the conversation where he said, "Who the hell are you?" And I said, "I'm Falokun." We got through all that. Isn't that right? I'm exaggerating, aren't I? I'm exaggerating.
Awesome.
I think he was surprised. So listen, to all the new folks, well, what I'm going to do is I talk for a little bit and we open up for questions. Today is actually a Q&A day. I've been away for a while, so I need to get refocused on the pulse of the community. Before I do that, Iya and I watched a documentary by Dr. Greer. Does everybody know who Dr. Greer is? If you don't know who he is, go to Dr. Stephen Greer. Go to, where do you go? Facebook, and push in search for his name. He's got about 3 or 4 documentaries. They're just astonishing. He's a emergency room doctor who spent the last 30 years investigating UFO phenomena. He has gathered a list of over 1,000 people in government who are willing to openly share their experience of government interaction with UFOs in general, but more specifically, in what the documentary covered in depth was the efforts by the government to back engineer UFO technology. All right, so anybody who thinks that's too far out, they probably haven't been listening to my rants of late, but there's no doubt, based on my experience, the number one, UFOs are real, but more specifically, it's a part of Ifa. When I was in Africa, I was given training on how to contact people who are visiting Earth from other planets. Now, if you don't know anything else about Ifa or believe anything else about Ifa, it was developed in a real challenging environment. They don't have the time or the resources to make stuff up. If it doesn't apply to survival, it's not relevant. I mean, this is, and so there's a history of interaction between Ifa elders. I think that history is actually much deeper, much older, and much more strange than I certainly was taught. I've seen little indications here and there of a deeper connection. We might talk about it a little bit. I'm not as clear about that as I am about the fact that elders in Ile Ife told me that people from different planets are called upon to assist in the process of funerals for Awos, and during the funeral process, with the assistance of ET, Ifa priests are resurrected 3 days after they die. That sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? Now, we were taught that that only happened once in the history of life on Earth, and the truth is it happens every single day in traditional Yoruba culture. So there's a big disparity between what we're taught, what we're encouraged to believe, and what is actually true. All right. And so the thing that makes that relevant is that ET travels on an interdimensional highway, I believe, that includes spirit beings, it includes light beings, it includes beings from different planets, and it includes Uncle Fred. It's the same highway used by the ancestors to move between the invisible and the visible realms. And learning how to negotiate that, learning how to understand that, learning how to interact with that is, believe it or not, for better or worse, part of the discipline of Ifa training into becoming an Awo. So I'm going to take a moment there and ask if anybody wants more proof or doesn't believe me or wants to argue to the contrary or accuse me of having dangerous ideas that should be censored on Facebook, any of those things, now's the time to bump heads on it. Just raise your hand or do the little hand emoji, because everything I say from this point on until we open it up a little more generally for questions are going to be based on that premise. Anybody? Queen Mother, I know she definitely wants to bump heads on that issue. I can tell, I can feel her simmering in the corner there, right? No? Okay. Yeah, Torian. Okay, so I'm going to assume that we're more or less on the same page, and I want to speak specifically about what Greer is talking about, because it really dovetails with things that I've been saying for the last almost decade now. And I think he does a good job of presenting information that I get a little confused and scattered about. So I'd really encourage people to watch his documentaries. On Facebook, 3 of them are free. The latest one is $5. I really encourage you to kick in a little money there, both to get the information and to support the work he's doing. The work he's doing is, I believe, both important and I would describe it as potentially dangerous. So we keep him in our prayers and look to him for further guidance. He's got some information regarding what's unfolding now over the next 6 months and the next 3 years that I think we need to pay attention to. But let me preface that by saying this. Greer's latest documentary says that ET technology is predicated on access to what alternative science calls 0-point energy. Okay, I don't know if you've heard of 0-point energy, but let me describe it maybe simple terms. 0-point energy is the observation first done in the Western world by a man named James Clerk Maxwell in 1850, that the Earth rotates at a specific frequency. And I'm going to ask Iya Fajalabi, who's our resident scientist, to remind me what the frequency is. You remember? 432. Okay, so 432 is the frequency of the Earth itself. So Nicholas Tesla, I would argue, rediscovered that information through his connections with his ancestors and was able to take that information and engineer it. So what that means is essentially Tesla stuck a coil in the earth, and then he started a pulse within that wire that was resonating at 443, was it? Excuse me, 432 hertz, is it? Gosh, I'm getting old here. 432 hertz. And what he discovered was that by doing that, he generated unlimited electrical power. Hence 0-point energy, hence the term free energy. And that power he was able to store in a capacitor. Essentially, he was able to store that energy that he generated for free in a battery, and he was able to release that energy as he wanted to. So essentially, he was able to project that energy literally around the planet. And so that if you had a wire grounded in the earth resonating on that frequency, it would pick up on the energy that he had stimulated, and it would be free energy for everybody, right? Okay, free energy. You understand? So free energy has profound implications. You understand, if we have free energy, there's no cost for transportation, for starters. There's no cost for growing food. We could cheaply build a huge greenhouse and pump water to it. You could build that and build the pumps for a few $100s and then keep it running forever. You understand? So it puts an end to transportation problems, it puts an end to food production problems, it puts an end to poverty, in essence, all right? But it also puts an end to the monopoly of those few people who control gasoline and nuclear energy, right? And so they're resisting the public release of this information big time. And Greer goes on to document that as well. He shows where in the past 20 years, over 5,000 patents based on Tesla's discovery have been denied by the patent office. Are you ready for this? What's the reason for the denial? Are you ready? Is everybody sitting down? Take a note, this is important. Those 5,000 patents were denied in interest of national security. So my question is, who gets to decide that? That's based on science. That's based on our ability to look at the world and understand the world we live in. People don't get to decide what that looks like, at least not for me. I'm not going to give anybody the permission to tell me what the world looks like. You know, that's based on our experience. And if we understand our faith, really, our faith is nature-based. Our faith is based on observing nature and figuring out how to live in harmony with nature. That's the meaning of the word Iwa Pele. The word Iwa Pele has the connotation of good character, but it explicitly means Iwa, I come from heaven to earth. Wa is I come, you put E in front of Wa, it means I come from Orun to Ia. Iwa Ope Ile means I come from the invisible realm to the visible realm to greet the earth. That's literally what the words mean. You know, there's a big conference at the UN last month where they defined Iwa Pele as balanced character. No, there's a different word for that in Yoruba. I don't know what people are thinking, but they're determined not to let us in on the secret that Iwa Pele means live in harmony with the earth. I come to greet the earth. In traditional Yoruba culture, you only greet your elders. You do not greet your juniors. So by saying I come to greet the earth, you're identifying the earth as your elder and your teacher, the source of your wisdom. The wisdom from the earth is known as Ogbon in Yoruba. Ogbon is the name of the council that uses the wisdom of the earth to regulate the structure of how people get along based on living in harmony with the earth. And the wisdom of Iwa Pele based on Ogbon does not include censoring information so that you can make a lot of money. Now, well, I won't say that's exclusively true among the elders of our community, but that's essentially true among the elders of our community based on those elders who take seriously the wisdom of the ancestors, okay? So so be clear, if you have access to 0-point energy and you back engineered the technology used to fly among planets, be clear, the UFOs that have been retrieved generate energy from the creation by virtue of the resonance of the metal used to construct them. So the entire flying apparatus is a conduit for free energy. They can go anywhere in the universe with the energy used to guide a flashlight, which is periodically then used to alter course. And so that technology was known in ancient times. There's detailed blueprints for that kind of technology in the Vedas in India. You know, the Vedic culture of ancient India. Anybody know what the ancient Vedic culture was called? Anybody? This is a quiz. Nobody? Ancient Vedic culture was called Orisha culture from Africa. Hello. It's still called that today. The, for lack of a better, African-looking East Indians who have Vedic culture preserved to this day include blueprints for UFOs. Very specific design. I've seen the blueprints in the Vedas, and I've actually seen the UFOs in Mexico, all right? So for me, this isn't a conspiracy theory. It's not speculation. It's reality based on my firsthand experience, all right? Anybody want to question that or dive in or ask me what the hell I'm talking about? Geronimo, are you good? Are you good? Geronimo's got that skeptical look on his face, but I'm assuming he if he wants to say something, he'll raise his hand. All right. So
Baba,
yes. Who's talking?
it's Eileen. Yesterday, I was looking at some of Tellinger's later stuff, Michael Tellinger's stuff, and he's constantly making a comparison to things found in Africa that are coming from India, similar structures. Just about what you're saying there.
Listen, I love Michael, and the comparisons are accurate, and he's got it backwards. But other than that, it's worth looking at. His material.
I don't think it's backwards. I don't think there's a coincidence.
Does he say? No.
He's just making the comparison. And obviously,
right,
you know which came first, right?
Well, not the world doesn't know, and that's part of my reasons for going to France. It comes from Africa. You know, deal with it, get over it. You know, the
Ashe.
Iya Fajalabi, you look like you want to say something. Yeah, really. I hear you over there.
No, you didn't hear me. I haven't said anything. My mouth has actually been closed.
So sorry. So where am I at with this? Where I'm at with this is I believe that the explanation for how to make that technology work has been, and continues to be, coded into the liturgical language of Odu Ifa. That's a pretty radical statement. People have heard me say it repeatedly. But I just didn't come up with that out of thin air. I was influenced in that perception by two people. One was Larry Scranton, who Lard Scranton, who Iya has actually spoken to, conversed with on these ideas. Lard Scranton, and let's me back it up. Lard Scranton did his research of language based on information he studied from Graham Hancock. Graham Hancock has made the point that he can trace geologically two major floods that were cataclysmic for the entire Earth. The oldest one that he traces is, he calls the older Dryas, which happened 200,000 years ago. And then he has a more recent flood that he calls the younger Dryas that happened 12,000 years ago. So the older Dryas, which is he describes as a 200,000-year-old advanced culture that was global at that time. And the research of Michael Tillinger tends to confirm that. Tillinger has discovered access-free energy that are stone circles that mimic the patterns created by specific frequencies. All right, you understand what I'm saying? So what Tillinger discovered is about 50-foot stone circles with the geometric patterns formed by different frequencies that are linked by what you could call roads between each circle. But they're not really roads because there's no way to get into the circle. There's no way to get over the fence. It's just like a giant connecting tube. And he's shown how they stretch from South Africa all the way to the pyramids in Giza. He calls them the energy source for the Giza complex. He has photographs. You can see the photographs. He has a million of these stones. So that's almost defies imagination. It's mind-boggling. You understand? But we know that those structures are ancient because the food pits surrounding those structures have 150-pound catfish in them, which have been extinct for 150,000 years. So the question is, where do those catfish come? And the existence of a sophisticated global culture is, in my opinion, fairly well documented. Graham Hancock, in particular, documents it well, as does Michael Cremo, who wrote a book called Forbidden Archaeology, where Cremo didn't do any research. He just went to the library and looked up all the archaeological research where archaeologists found things that didn't conform to the historical record, and he republished them, you know. And there's a lot of that. All right. So who knows the academic timeline for history of humanity? Anybody? The academic timeline for human history? The official timeline. Anybody know? The official. Jonathan, you have your hand up. Tell me give me your best guess.
All right, so we're going to take a little stab at this just based on because I've been immersed in indigenous culture, and they have stories associated with the flood of Noah, right? But at the same time, if we're going back to the ancient pyramids of Egypt there, the water damage on the Sphinx couldn't have been there for at least 40,000 years, right? So if our history,
sort of, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to say.
Listen, my question was.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, you cut out there for a second. What was the question again? Sorry.
I was going to. The original question is, what is the academic timeline?
Oh, the academic timeline. Oh, yeah. Then that's going
Not the
back at
indigenous
least
timeline.
about 5,000 years then.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Actually, it's 6,000.
Oh, okay.
According
So
to
about 5,000
academia
years.
in the Western world, human history is 6,000 years old. Anybody know why they set that date in academia in the Western world? Anybody?
Oh, that's going back
They
to the
set
Bible.
that date. Yes, exactly. In other words, in the 1600s, two Episcopalian bishops counted up the ages of the patriarchs and determined that the world started 6,050 years ago on June 11th or June 9th, I think, at noon. So based on that timeline, academia has refused to extend that age for fear of offending the Episcopalians. And the truth is, the evidence for an older timeline is overwhelming. Dr. Robert Schoch went and investigated the Sphinx at Giza. Schoch's a geologist. He said the weathering on the Sphinx was vertical, not horizontal, so it had to have been caused by flooding. The most recent example of flooding in the Giza plain was 12,000 years ago. So he first saying that the Sphinx had to be more than 12,000 years old, and academia had conniptions. All right. So about 3 months ago, two geologists from the Ukraine, believe it or not, went and studied the Sphinx and found horizontal erosion based on saltwater erosion. They documented, okay, so that puts the age of the Sphinx at least 2,000 years old. So now, I mean, the academia is not even going to give them the time of day. Excuse me, I didn't mean 2,000, 200,000. What did I say? Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, 200,000. There's some definite historical anomalies that are interesting and we need to straighten out. But I think ultimately the important thing is there was a highly sophisticated culture existing on this planet a long time ago, which has been preserved in different parts of the world. And we can see pieces of it in Eastern Europe, what is now Iraq, certainly Egypt, especially Ethiopia. And we can also find elements of it in southeastern Mexico, the Yucatan, which I believe is a remnant of Atlantis. We can also find it in Peru. We certainly can find it in the sacred literature of the Mali people, the Dogon people of Mali. And absolutely, we find a very detailed description of that ancient paleoscience in Odu Ifa, all right? So here's the thing that makes Ifa so important, in my humble opinion, and which makes it important for us to study what the verses are saying and get an effective understanding of that technology, because Odu Ifa, even though there's what I would call libraries of information related to the ancient paleoscience of the planet from ancient times, there is very few living traditions that give us access to the ability to work that technology, okay? And here's why that's important. Here's the major difference between Ifa paleoscience and Western science, all right? This is the important point that I am trying to make here through all my ramblings and discussions. Western science is based on Newtonian mechanics. If you hit a pool ball with another pool ball, the other ball moves in a particular angle. And those angles are always the same because it's a rigid structure of action and reaction. all right? Turns out that's not true. Turns out quantum physics tells us it's not true, which is a big, big dilemma for quantum physics, especially for those who are trying to keep us from understanding the nature of the world we live in. Okay, so Ifa paleoscience says everything, excuse me, everything in creation has consciousness. The science is the foundation of our faith. Everything from a subatomic particle to a planet, to a star, to a solar system, to a galaxy, all those things embrace consciousness called Ori in Yoruba. So the word Orisha, Sha means select, so Orisha means specific consciousness. So Iwa Pele, learning from the earth, is about identifying specific forms of consciousness that make up creation, and then using the sacred technology of Ifa to go into communication with those forces in nature so we can best learn how to support the process of evolution. The process of evolution in Yoruba is called Ile Ife Orun Wa Ile Ife Aye, meaning the house of unconditional love in the invisible realm comes to earth as the house of unconditional love. So what we're doing is we're taking the paradigm of Olorun's creation and we're manifesting it in the physical dimension. All right. And in the process of doing that, we have choice. The choice that's in alignment with that vision, we call E-ray. The choice that's not in alignment with that vision is called EB. EB is not God punishing you. It's you being an idiot. And until we get that distinction clear, we're just running around in circles, you know? Shango is the spirit of fire. You can use fire to cook your lunch. You can use fire to warm your hands. You can use it to read a book. But if you sit in the fire, it does not mean the fire is mad at you. So we need to get way past that because it's got nothing to do with anything. So when you get told by someone that, ooh, you have evil ancestors and for $900, they'll give you a cleaning so they stop punishing you, you need to ignore that, walk out of the room and shake the dust off your shoes because it's got nothing to do with reality at all, not even a little bit. Our task as diviners, as awos, is to understand what it is we're worshiping and to place ourselves in alignment with it. So let me be clear about what that means in practical terms. That means every single word we find in Ifa scripture has a correlation with what Westerners would understand as a force of nature. There is no exception. Every single one of them has a correlation with nature as it relates to the scheme of things, the process of evolution, and the nature of reality itself. If we can't make that correlation, then we don't know who we're talking to, and it's about as effective as talking to your foot. If you understand who you're talking to, what you're trying to say, what the communication is, it's a source of huge inspiration. That was the process Tesla used to get free energy from the earth. He told the world in his biography that the ancestors communicated to him through the intermediary of a pigeon. Tesla discovered free energy by talking to a pigeon. And we all laugh. I see Johnson there thinking, oh, talk to a pigeon. That sounds weird. Okay, so news flash. Are you ready? News flash. Every Iami in the room who's ever talked to the mothers has always done so through the intervention of a bird. Tesla used the exact same technology that we use to communicate with spirit. No difference, not even a little bit, exactly the same thing. All right, so it's time that we stop arguing over petty nonsense. So who's doing stuff right? I mean, who cares? There's no such thing as the right way to do anything. Everything we do ritualistically is made up by someone, but some of it was made up and retained because it was effective. The question always becomes, what's effective? How do I effectively communicate with nature. So nature tells me things that help me live in the world. So I make the judgment perhaps that if spirit is not telling us how to easily access free energy, that means we're still not being effective, because nature knows. Nature has told people in the past there's a way we can reclaim that information and put it to practical use. And Dr. Greer claims that ET is telling them we got about 6 months to figure that out before the people who ignore that information destroy the ecology of the planet. The clock is ticking. You understand? This cannot be something that we think, oh, that's a good idea. Maybe we'll get around to that eventually. No, we need to get around to that today. We need to get around to that soon. We need to get around to that when we come together in Chicago and Louisiana, so that we ask Spirit the right questions. Anybody know why Spirit hasn't told us how to access free energy within our community? Anybody know why that hasn't happened? I know Geronimo knows. Because no one's asking the question. Hello, you won't question you don't ask. That's not hard to figure, is it? Now I'm on a rant, aren't I? What do you think, Sean? Am I on a rant? Possibly. But listen, I'm going to step back here a little bit. I see Oriade is laughing. I hope it's with me and not at me. Did you have a question, Iya? No? Yeah. No, anybody have a question at this point?
How do we talk to birds, Baba?
I have a.
Yeah, how do you talk to birds? That's the secret of Yami, isn't it? Anybody who's been through that ritual knows it's not really a secret if you look at the scripture. You communicate with birds by the same way Native Americans do. You communicate with birds by swallowing the spirit of a bird, not generic birds, not chipmunks, not the picture of a bird, but are real birds. Birds, because of their ability to fly around the planet and their migration patterns, have the mechanism for interdimensional connection to guidance systems that allow them to go from here to there without getting lost. And it's that same guidance system which we simulate and which we identify with when you go through the initiation for Iyami Osharanga. The word for that process in Yoruba is Osho, which translates to astral travel in English. So Iyami Osharanga, Osharanga means the astral travel that brings us Ga. Ga is the Yoruba word for female power. Female power, the ability to place ourselves in the connect to nature herself. We have that tool. So within the context of Iyami, we have a number of things that would be good idea. Huh? No, yeah, okay, that's all right. Well, Jonathan, I'll get you in a minute. Let me just finish the thought. So one of the things that the astral travel with the mothers and the birds can do is it shows us the secret of how we alter DNA. Iya Fajalabi, as a biomolecular engineer, understands that process far better than I. Maybe she'll talk about it a little bit this morning if we twist her arm. But that's one of the questions we need to ask the mothers. How do we alter DNA to protect us from what I believe is a man-made pandemic? And then we need to ask the question of how do we access free energy? Oh, there's a question there. All right, Jonathan, just hold your thought for a minute. Iya, you had a question? Oriade?
Yes, Baba. One of the things I appreciate about your teaching is your wisdom about the etymology of words and helping us.
Thanks.
Yes, like prolific. Thank you. So you mentioned the word Ga is female power. Are there other, can you share other examples of where Ga shows up?
Yes, I will. And understand that Yoruba language is based on 126 three-letter combinations, each which has spiritual significance. There's a number of two-letter combinations which also have spiritual significance, but most of the words that have in Yoruba come in pairs. So Ga is an effect of Ge, G-A-G-E. G-E means, Ga means absorbing female energy, Ge means projecting it into the world, right? You understand? So do this. Watch, I'll show you something. Do this. You're pointing to Gele, the house of female power. That's what it means in Yoruba. Gele, the head wrap you're wearing. You understand? So those words are all around us, confirming our perception of reality in a sense. All right. So Osho Ranga, astral travel to bring female energy so that the energy can be used as gay day, the word for astrology. Female power stands up. It's also the word for gele, head wrap, the wisdom of the mothers collectively, and gele fun, the female energy of white light, the house of white light, meaning the women who come together to resolve cultural conflicts. So all the words are interrelated and interconnected, which is why I believe it's important to study the language. You know, I mean, that's 90% of the books I've written have just been from, you know, I've had some access to teachers and I'm grateful for that, but most of my research has been done with a dictionary. You understand? And most of that research has been done on the full knowledge that the language of Ifa was stolen by Jesuit ministers, excuse me, what are they called? Priests, Jesuit priests, who translated spiritual concepts into concepts that mimic the teachings of Jesus. The teachings of Oromila and the teachings of Jesus are not the same. And if you conflate one with the other, you're not going to understand the original message from the prophet Oromila at all. You understand? So a lot of, you know, where I'm controversial, understandably, is I'm redefining a lot of words based on my understanding of Odifa and not my understanding of the dictionary created by Catholic priests. Now, for me, that shouldn't be a hard sell, but unfortunately it is. You know, and I've been doing this for almost 40 years now, and I've had one correction from a Yoruba speaking Awo of something I translate. So it feels to me like I'm on the right track, if I may say so. But the point is, we need to have those conversations and talk about them and look at different perspectives on it, because there's the language is multi-layered, so we can look at it from different perspectives. Believe me. Yes, you wanted to say something further?
Yes, I'm following this this train of thought, for lack of a better way of saying it. So if it is so that the Yoruba vocabulary or Yoruba language is built on this foundation of the however many number of letters, sounds, the thing I'm connecting is the concept of Ofo Ashe, words of power. We know that there's Oriki, right? Invocation.
Right.
Is it so that the words, or like the kernels, the essence of the words, the phonemes, are actually like activations? You know, not just like letters, but actually they have spiritual power, Ashe, to even to be speaking in that tone.
So yeah, gets an A+ for the spiritual quiz for the day. It's not like that. It is that. You understand? The brain has 256 portals to frequencies that create thought and images in our head. Each one of those portals is a Merkaba, and each one of those Merkabas is symbolized by the 8 marks of Odu. The 8 marks of Odu is a 2-dimensional representation of a 3-dimensional energy pattern that informs all consciousness in all of creation. It's the key to how we communicate with nature. You understand? When we go into an altered state known as possession by Elah, we're accessing all 256 portals. And then we're shape-shifting to go to that portal that addresses the specific issue at hand in the moment. Does that make sense? And be clear, the original global culture that linked all humans on Earth was Ge'ez. Do you all know what Ge'ez is? Ge'ez is the liturgical language of Ethiopia, which is the proto-language of Hebrew. Yoruba is 30% Hebrew. More correctly, 30% Ge'ez. Yes, yes. All right, you with me? That's a big secret that no one wants you to know. All right, the other 30% is Coptic Egyptian, which means pre-Arabic Egyptian. Coptic Egyptian is only spoken today in among the Dogons in Mali, as far as I know. And Laird, is it Laird? Lard Scranton's study of Dogon language enabled him to rewrite the dictionary of hieroglyphics. Part of it, not all of it, part of it, sorry. But the point is that that proto-language is based on the power of the word, inherently. You understand? Ifa teaches that creation is co-creation. So how do we co-create the world? By first linking with nature itself, and then speaking with the resonance that communicates to nature so that nature transforms in response to our interaction. All creation is co-creation, but you have to have the key to open that door for it to be effective co-creation. So the key to that door we call Oshe Meji, right? From the Elysian Oashe, meaning the spirit of power, voice of Oshun, the ability to pray in full possession, which is why our prayers are always loud. They're said usually standing up and in a full voice that comes from the root chakra and projects into the world through our whole body. And the added component of that is if you and I pray, it's not twice as good, it's 3 times as good. If 16 people get together and pray, it's 100 times as good. And when you have 16 people praying together, you can watch reality change in front of your eyes. That's the great mystery that we're talking about here now. So and this is related to another point that I've made many times. I'll make it again for the new folks here. Language is a frequency that resonates in a particular place in the brain. So the word for study and the studiar and learn in every language resonates in the same place in the brain at the same frequency. The word we give that frequency is just what we learned growing up from our culture. But the stimulus to use that word is the same for everybody, which is why spirit speaks to you in the language you understand. It doesn't speak to you in the language you understand. It speaks to you by frequency, and the frequency triggers the language you learned as a child. That's the phenomenon we're dealing with here. Makes sense? You look skeptical, yeah. Yes, Iya Fajalabi wants to add something. Please, yeah.
Also, not just the frequencies of sound, but also symbol particular brain. It is not just and it's also why you can you don't have to mimic conversation and know Yoruba perfectly. It's a frequency that makes a difference. So that if your intent with free will is put into a particular energy, you'll be able to bring about whatever it is you're trying to bring, you're trying to manifest. That's what's being taught, and that's what was taught by the ancients. And that's what they put inside the symbolism, not only in artifacts, but also in geodetic areas. And when I say geodetic areas, I mean those are the pyramids and how they're situated on the planet. That's actually a way to energize, re-energize the DNA in individuals so that that frequency can be opened and you'll get the knowledge transmitted to you without having to, go to school, go to MIT. You can learn this through symbolism. And if you're open to it, if you're open to the idea of being able to, and if you're open and ready to take on that type of facility, then you can pick up all of the energy just from a symbol, or from the sound or frequency of the symbol, or from the color of this frequency that you need, because color also mimics a particular frequency. So communication has been given to us in several different ways. We just have to open ourselves, open our ears, open our consciousness to make sure that we're able to accept and be able to take that in. That's why Ge and Ga have the ability to sit on our heads. And women in particular, because we're the facility that contracts and opens and contracts and opens. It's not that men can't have or cannot astral travel. That's not the case. It's the case that women have the facility because we are a contractor of that facility. Men or the male energy has the ability to expel that energy out. And nature's constantly showing this. It's never been that these were secrets. It's just we haven't waken up. We don't remember. But once we start remembering, all of these things will come to be and you'll see it. It'll be easier and it won't be hard, and you won't have to go and get 300 books and try to study and face east and all that. You'll get it naturally. But we have to learn how to be, think. We have to learn how to have critical thinking. We have to be able to be open to the information, because the information has never been hidden. Never. It's always been there. That's it.
You have to, can you hear me? Yeah, listen, can everybody hear me? Geronimo, can you hold your thought? I was promising Jonathan I'd get to him, and I'll get to you, Geronimo. Jonathan, you had a question?
I didn't have a question, Baba. It's just a lot of activations and such, and just more dots connecting. That's all that's going with me.
Got it. Let me give another example for Iya or Iya Day. It's wisdom. Ife means unconditional love. Ife in, Ifa out. That's the verb Ife to project Ifa. And so virtually everything we do has a polar basis linguistically, So we have Omalu as the source of disease, Nana as the healer. The two work in tandem. And so, which is related to the fact that when we deal with a bow that comes from Ire Ifa, we always mark the Odu that incarnated the problem, and it's the exact opposite. Two of them together is what creates stasis, if that makes sense. That's a long, complicated conversation started, but Baba Geronimo, everybody, he's my favorite nemesis, so here it comes, What you got, Baba? Hope you turned off your mic. I scared you away. Come on, dismute. Bring it on.
Abu Shense family. Baba.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I have to run in a little bit, but I have to go to Tampa. But let me say this. My gosh, Iya, I love you. You're so spot on when you come into these conversations along with Baba. What you just said just now about color mimicking frequency is such a powerful statement. I don't think enough people fully get and understand the frequency and the level of what power colors emit, right? For example, in our system in Trinidad, colors is a very, very essential aspect of Orisha work. From you receiving garments and gowns and so on and so forth from the Orisha, right? When you go on vision quests and dream quests in order to grow, within the tradition. So colors emit and frequency is extremely important. I don't think enough people really get that, even when they're daily wear and in their daily dress. Language also, as you said, Baba, is essentially important. And most of us don't really, and I agree with you that spirit will speak to you in the language that is your first language, right? But to me, there is also like a frequency of where spirit connects and speak, in an unspoken, in a non-verbal energy. It's like when you're in dream state, and when you dream and when you travel and when you're on vision quests. And I can say that because in my early years in working as a shaman, I did some Indian shamanic work in my 20s as a teacher. That level of spiritual work, to me, a lot of Orisha people can learn a lot from native traditions, right? How native people does spiritual work and do shamanic work, because it is all intuitive. It's all inside. You have to travel. You have to do out of body experiences, go down into the earth and so on, travel, receive your power animal and so on and so forth, receive medicine on the ground, similar to when you do initiation and receive medicine from Orisha, but it is all mental. It is all for me to, and Jonathan would love this, is you drink and you get high, right? From either smoking peyote or drinking ayahuasca, right? That puts you in an altered state of consciousness. It's the altered state of consciousness that actually, by drinking or smoking peyote, that allows you to do your out-of-body experience. Some of us are able to train ourselves to do OT, out-of-body experiences without drink, without smoke. Some of us have that ability, right? But yeah, colors, the earth, the stars, the alignment, yeah, we on today, Baba, we on today, Ashe.
Yeah, listen, listen, I agree. To me, it's important that we do Oriki in Yoruba because we attract the Ashe of ancestors who practice our faith. And that's an avatar to open the door to deeper levels of spirit. And it's also true that within Oriki, as somebody who's tried to translate a number of Oriki, a lot of the words have no meaning. There is no translation. They're what's called in linguistics an anomiopoeia or something like that. They're words that mimic sounds. So the best example of that is the word to invoke possession by Ogun is gabang gabang. That doesn't mean anything in Yoruba. Gabang, sound of Ogun's drum, if you can hear that. Can you hear that? Gabang gabang, that's what the talking drum sounds like when it calls Ogun. And so you take the words of power that have no meaning into the Oriki as you see the person going into possession respond to the words you say. When spirit comes down and possesses somebody, typically they speak to you in the language you understand, because that's a connection that's been created, I believe, by the ritual process of evoking Eshu. And we're blessed to have Shango Kemi with her hand up. She's almost as challenging as you are, Baba. So I got to sit up straight and pay attention here, make sure I.
Oh my goodness, Abuyo, Abuyo. It's been a while seeing everyone in this room. And I say Aboyobe also to Iya Fajalabi and to all of everyone. I want to touch base quickly on the Yoruba aspect that you speak about linguistically.
Right.
You know, Yoruba language from my studies, you have the elision that happens, right? The removal of letters, the change of the accents, which is a whole nother world. But from my Oluko, my teacher, he always explained that many times a part of that removal and elision that takes place of letters, changes of the tonal marks and everything like that, that it is important for the Yoruba that when they speak the words, that the words, there is a flow that is necessary. So it's not jerky, there's a flow in the language. So like a river flowing, therefore this process occurs of the removal and the addition and the contraction and everything that happens in a language, in their language as well, which then also adds to the frequency that we are speaking about. It's flowing, it's not jerky in the expression, it's not jerky coming from the person vocally. You know, there's supposed to be a flow with this. So just wanted to just put in that plug as well in the linguistic aspect of Yoruba.
That's absolutely true. In my experience, I can read Yoruba fairly well. I can say a few Ariki fairly well, but when I try to be conversational, I don't have the song that goes with the phrase. And so people look at me like, what the hell is he trying to say, right? So I have myself in a situation when I'm in Africa, Yoruba speaking people translate my Yoruba into Yoruba. That's a little embarrassing, but you know, it's folks can understand what I'm trying to say with the syllables, but they know I don't have the song quite right. And it's maddening because there's over 200 dialects, and you can say the same words in each of those dialects and the song will change and people will have no idea what you're trying to say. So it's and it's the same way with Riki. I can read a Riki that were written in Ogun State or Ile Ife and even Oyo. Show me an Riki written in Ekiti and it's like, okay, no idea, no clue. I don't recognize anything here. So it's a, and be clear, you know, the word Yoruba is only 300 years old. We're talking about a language group created by the descendants of Oduduwa 10,500 years ago, not the Yoruba language codified by Jesuit priests 300 years ago. So, you know, when you talk about Yoruba language, there's the language, then there's the language, you know. And one of the things that'd be nice to do in my lifetime, you know, I've gathered a lot of Ariki. They got to be in at least 100 different dialects. When we do initiations, I'm embarrassed to say we do them in at least a half a dozen different dialects. At some point, I'd like to do initiations in one dialect, and that's going to require some serious help from the good people in Ode Rainbow to make that happen. But it's an aspiration. I think it's something we can do, something we need to think about. Yes, Night Sky, I'm sorry, you want to say something?
Yeah, hi Baba, hi everyone.
Hello.
My name is Night Sky Mesli Yawo. I'm calling from Puerto Rico right now. I am a Mexica, and I have a family who are Lakota, and I got to meet Baba months ago, and felt a connection. So I'm grateful to be here in this space. And you know what the funny thing is today is that I was like, you know, I wonder what he's gonna say about you know, the Star people, the Star Nation. And because if there's no place for the Star Nation, if I don't know, you got to think about, you know, how I navigate. And so it's perfect timing, and I think an alignment in the whole. I'm grateful. I just wanted to share that you know, when we're talking about like language, that this form that we're connecting to vibration, sounds, and using all our senses, that's something that for me is very dear, because for folks here in the Americas who have been, you know, with the colonization, a lot of the folks that are around me are lacking the communication and the old language, right? And there's so much like feelings of guilt, or also am I not worthy even to learn, you know, or if somebody, another tribe is teaching me something, like, is it okay for me to like learn from them? You know, there's just so much like stagnant, so much uncertainty. And what I love from learning from you, Baba, and from everyone here is that there's this common, there's the original, you know, there is the center, there is the what we would call like the creator or the creator's energy that is within nature and the earth, and that we already have the modes of communication from all of the senses that we have, you know, whether it be from sight, sound, taste, feel, and so much more that we have. I just wanted to share like my gratitude that we're talking about this particular subject in communicating with the earth and also with our star nation to help create that balance and sustainability. And that I'm asking and praying for the need to like this energy to spread into all our loved ones and the ones that we don't know and who we are going to meet, so that they feel that confidence and that push, and may they understand that it's okay to communicate, that there is a language, that there is a place for them, and that our indigenous folks get empowered and stay in that alignment with the creators, that we're able to continue grasping that wisdom and that knowledge. For me, like, one of the languages that I understood, it was through song. Like the moment that my family or Lakota shared with me song and drum, like I understood that like no other, you know, and I feel comfortable with that. I'd rather speak that and sing that than in English or in Spanish. You know, there's just something different about that original and that ancient language. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share.
Well, listen, I'm going to share some stuff about me. I was in the legal profession for many years, and I was actively involved in defending the American Indian movement, which was mostly Lakota, Lehman Brightman in particular. I worked on with him. He was the founder of Native American Studies at UC Berkeley, and Wallace Black Elk. I don't know if you know, this is back in the day, but Rolling Thunder and Sun Bear were all people that I considered friends and mentors, and saw a real connection between what they are doing and what I'm trying to do. And in fact, the local, when I was, this is kind of a funny story, I think, but it gets to the point. The Hickory Apache in New Mexico wanted me to help them with some writing project they had. But so when I went out to meet with them, they said, well, we can't let you help us until we get approval from Bigfoot, right? And I'm thinking, okay, that I'm in, whatever that involves, right? So they said, sit with your back against this mountain. There was a ledge above me, right? And they said, sing one of your shaman songs. So I sang to Ayla, and I hear all this commotion above me, right? And then the elder shaman says, okay, that's enough, that's good. Bigfoot came by and he checked you out and he says, you're cool. And I said, what? I said, how do you know that? And you know, he told me, he said, well, Bigfoot speaks Apache. And I said, of course he does. What was I thinking? So it was, I mean, it sounds funny, but it was a deeply moving, emotional moment for me. It was like, okay, this is all good. I like it. I like it. I like it. You know, and there's also, do you know Tanya Rodriguez?
No, I
She's
don't.
a strong advocate for defense against cultural appropriation of Taino culture. I mean, she's really strong in that, her defense of that, and keeps me honest a lot. But she also is involved in the Puerto Rican Orisha community. So there's great effort to, I think, preserve traditional cultures and interact with them. I hope, you know, whenever I've done initiations and I've been in touch with Native elders, I always invite them to initiations to participate as full equals and to give their blessing to the owls. And that's worked well for me. I've done the same thing with the Sikh community and a number of others. So we're all reading from the same playbook, in my opinion. And there's no reason to shut the door based on what I would call cultural annotations to the same ideas. You feel me? You feel me? We're good?
Surely, for sure.
Nice. Okay. There was, I'm gonna, okay, so get ready. I'm gonna start calling on people now, if you don't mind. Where are we? Let's look here. I think the good doctor's up next. Yeah, I'm sorry, Dr. Falokun. We got more than one doctor on here today. Do you have something you want to say or share or ask about? This is a Q&A day, so it can be on any topic. Believe me, it doesn't have to be on paleo science.
Aboro Boye Baba.
Fajalabi.
Ikaro family. I have no questions as of right now, Baba. I am just enjoying the space and taking it all in.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of months.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course.
Falokun.
Aboboye, Alafia fam.
Oye, Bachiche.
Aboboye, Iya Fajalabi. It's good to see everybody. It's good to see. I have no questions. This has been amazing. It's always interesting listening to you and the other elders on this page. Ashe.
So for everybody here that doesn't know it, I'm going to be in Chicago, August 23rd to the 29th. If you want to receive any initiations, then let me know if you want to come and help and learn how to do initiations. We have probably maybe 2 or 3 beds available at Sandy's place, don't we? Yeah. I think we could probably put up maybe 4 people. Diosa is in organizing that, but I don't remember what is available, but we'll figure it out. So let me know and I'll figure it out. We'll make those arrangements if you're interested. Okantura, see, I remembered your name, sort of. Dismute. There
Yeah,
you go.
I'm working on it, Baba. I got to find the button. Aburo Boye, Baba, Iya, Oluwo, Alafia family. Ashe for now, Baba. I don't really have anything or any questions at the moment, but I will if I do. I will say something if I do.
Good. So excuse me. Do you want to say something, Ian? I'm going to ask Iya Egbe Toyin, who's got a A+ streak in the Awo Study Center school going for her. I like that. And we had a great conversation about Odu and similar topics. Did you want to ask a question or make a comment, Iya?
Boro Boye Baba.
Boye
Greetings to everyone. No, I'm just taking it all in. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Anytime. It's I try not to exclude people unless they're overly disruptive. So you're always welcome, believe me. Omilade, who's that? That's I know who that is. Omilade, what are you up to?
Nothing much, Baba. Greetings to you and Iya. I have no questions. I'm just excited to go and play with some colors now.
See, I like that. Denise?
Nothing to add. Thank you, Baba.
Fajalabi, everybody, we need to give Fajalabi a big hand for doing such a good job of facilitating these meetings. Believe me, I couldn't do it without her. I was in way over my pay grade when she took pity on me and rescued me. So thank you. Shango, can you have your hand up again? Did you want to say something? No? Oh, you're giving her a hand. I see. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Clapping. That's the sound of one hand clapping. Very zen. I like it. All right, Malik, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I had one question.
Sure.
I was just wondering how we could like maybe expand our consciousness or our awareness to be able to receive like information from different frequencies or be able to notice like those types of things.
Yes, that's a good question. So the whole point of initiation is to what I would call plant a seed or to open that gateway in your brain. The secret of initiation is, you know, you come to me and I say, okay, I'm going to put you in possession. That's a pretty bold claim to make. But I make that claim based on the fact that I know possession is contagious. So I put you in possession with the spirit of Allah by going into possession first and making sure I'm close enough to you for you to feel that and to unlock that. So when it revisits you, you'll recognize it. So then we do daily prayers to make sure we maintain that connection. And then we do prayers on a 4-day cycle that are more in intent, let's say, to strengthen that the cycle. But the point is, we need to go into an altered state every time we do divination and every time we make offerings. That's the nature of the work. That's the nature of our responsibility as a priest. So part of that, you know, it's difficult in the diaspora, but in Ode Remo, where I studied, there's a ceremony for altars to a different spirit. I mean, it's going on around everybody all the time. The Egbe Ifa meets every 16 days. They designate one person as the medium. They invoke possession in that person, and they ask specific questions related to the health and well-being of the community. And in fact, then they every 91 days they invoke possession to find out what's needed to maintain the health and well-being of the community for the next season. So, you know, we've got it exactly backwards in the diaspora. We go to ceremonies and priests walk around and say, oh, you need this, you need that, you've got that wrong, you gotta be protected. That kind of behavior in traditional Yoruba culture is taboo. It's absolutely taboo to offer an opinion without being asked. So the Ifa priests work very hard at anticipating difficulties and protecting the community from chaos and confusion. When everything is running smoothly, the people of the community come to them and bring them food and offerings and gifts to thank them for doing their work. If there's a big calamity, people come by and tell the Awos to get busy doing their job. You know, they don't cap on the calamity by begging money from the community. It doesn't work that way. So it's part of what I call the Ifa spiritual discipline. It's definitely part of what I call the discipline of the prayer cycle. I've written, God, at least a half a dozen books explaining the specific content of the prayer cycle. But those prayers, it doesn't have to be following initiation, but especially following initiation, really activate and sustain the ability to connect the spirit. Look at it this way. Oriki is a mnemonic memory device. The first recording of that memory tape occurs during your initiation, and every time you go into possession, you add another loop to that memory tape. And at the same time, we believe, and there's good evidence for it, that the stones in our pot also record the memory of those experiences. So that allows us to access those memories in our shrine. So it becomes a way of projecting our spiritual consciousness on the world, I would say. Make sense, Malik?
It does, yes. Thanks for your answer.
What do you say? Okay. Eileen, did you have a question?
No, Baba, I'm good. Thank you.
Chris, I know you got a question. I can feel it coming through the waves there. What's your question, Chris? Oh, we're not hearing you. What's happening here? Have you got your speaker on? Can anybody hear him? Can you write your question on the chat room there?
You can also try to go out and then come back in. Sometimes that fixes the volume problem.
Did you hear that, Chris? Yeah, I'll get back to you when you come back in. Iya Tifashe.
Aburu Abiye Baba Ati Sara,
Right.
Ati Uluwo, and all other elders present in this forum. I don't have a question, but it's always good to be a part of this, you know.
It's
stuff.
always good. I agree.
Yes, it's always good to be part of that. So that's it for me.
Okay. Chris, are you back online there? Can you dismute, see what we get? I'm still not getting you. Can you turn your mic on and off, maybe? I'll turn it on. Say something.
Baba, I think he has to check his headphones. He has on headphones and probably they're not.
Oh yeah, take your headphones off, see what that does. Unplug the headphones from the computer. Hello? We're still not getting you. I'm sorry. If you can figure it out, just jump in and we'll address your questions. Yeah, Efuntayo, do you have a question or a comment?
Aburu Abuye Baba and Iya Fajalabi, and blessings to my elders and Oluwo. It's good to see you and see you well. I just wanted to say a couple of things about putting a person into possession. Early on in my getting to know you, I called you terribly upset via phone. And you saying, I don't know if it was Ella or Egbe, you put me into immediate trance. And I did a total shift in terms of my emotional state so that I could then do the spiritual work I was supposed to do with others. So I don't know if you remember that, but
I do actually, yes.
Don't have to be close. We have the quantum field and quantum
True.
entanglement.
True.
So I just feel that person has to be open, or they will be opened if it's appropriate. Also in terms of the indigenous Americans and how they do when we do sweat lodge, you are put into trance, and usually an animal will appear and give you the information that you
Right.
seek, and it is based on each individual in their question. So
Yes.
it's a very profound experience, and I know that there are things in Ifa that is tantamount to that. I also know that in the Hawaiian culture, they go into a cave and receive information. And I believe that every language, you know, when we do spirituals in English, that will take you onto
True.
another plane. So
True. Yeah.
Hawaiian pules, every language has that energy matrix that is transformative. So I wanted to say that. And also I had a question.
Yes.
For a while, I was studying what they call Fulan Dafa, which is interesting in terms of its name. And it is a Chinese spiritual movement.
Oh, nice.
And it has a meditative piece that literally raises your frequency. But what I remembered clearly was the man who was bringing it back onto the planet because the Chinese government had outlawed it, was saying that we are in the 6th Earth. Now, I don't know clearly what that means, but it indicated to me that perhaps it's been more than twice that this Earth has gone through some kind of upheaval, and civilizations have been forgotten. So I don't know if you have any insight into that.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, Iya wants to speak on it, then I have a thought. Yes, go ahead, Iya.
Let's see, let me make sure my Okay, can everybody hear me? Okay, with that, with the what they call the destruction of Earth, it may be that if we pay attention to nature, nature has a tendency to go to sleep and wake up. It has a tendency to go into and break down its parts to create the next thing. Yeah, in other words, you plant a seed when if you had a closed caption camera of that seed, you'll see that the seed is beaten upon and torn apart, torn to shreds until what you see there is no longer a seed, and there's nothing that resembles a seed, but from that grows another thing that is actually mimics what it originally was, which the seed brought the information, the packet of information. So when we're saying the destruction of Earth and everything, I think what's happening, and they do say it's the sixth Earth, and you understand that we're going in octaves. So we're at the sixth tonal point of an octave, and at that point, and when you get to the eighth point, you're actually restarting the beginning of the last ones. It's actually seven tonal positions, and the eighth is actually the first. And so understand, we're just, nature keeps repeating itself. It keeps talking, but what it does is it expands each time. It has an expansion of itself, so that it's in an infinite amount of recreations. And that's why this apocalyptic idea is kind of ludicrous. It's not an apocalypse, it's a beginning. And in order to get to a beginning, you have to go to an end.
Ashe. Ashe. Thank you for that clarity.
What I want to say is, hold on. Odu Ifa speaks of three ages. The first was Obatala, then Ogun, and Oromila. I am of the opinion that the age of Oromila is 200,000 years old. It's coming to an end. The end of that age was predicted by Susan Ranger, who was the chief of Ogboni for the city of Oshobo. I believe that I know for a fact that the tradition as it was practiced for 10,500 years has essentially come to an end in Nigeria, because it's centered on the position of Oba, and all but two of the Obas that I can see of the 21 traditional Obas have advocated Ifa for Christianity or Islam. Well, one of the two who remain true to the tradition is Oba Fashade, who's a female king, and I think represents the pivot to the next cycle that we're entering into. If she's not the prophetic voice of that change, she's certainly a foundation for that prophetic voice to emerge. So there's a shift in the tradition, a shift a little bit maybe in the message, but those are the things that you can't arbitrarily attach to a given time period. They emerge organically and are embraced or rejected by the will of the people who practice the faith. So we're watching that process unfold, I believe. Does that make sense here?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. And anybody that proclaims themselves as a prophet is worthy of suspicion. All right. So Cedric, did you want to say something? Cedric, are you there? Okay, I'm not getting anything. Nuriel, did you want to say something?
No, I just want to, first of all, greetings and Lafayette to the family, to the elders. This was one of the most, since I've been in, most powerful, most clear cut, and it connected a lot of dots for me in your lecture, and so I'm thankful for that. But other than that, I have no questions at all. It was a lot of information, substance, a lot of quality information. I'm appreciative of it. and I'm glad
Listen,
I'm glad I came
I
on
appreciate
today.
you. Listen, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm glad you came on today too. If you want to, if you want to see me in September, I want to call you today and
yes,
put you in the loop. If not, we're still friends, but let's make that happen. All right. Anyway,
yes, sir.
Did you understand what I said? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Perfect. Listen, Cedric, did you just mute? Did we step over you? There he is. Cedric, did you have something you wanted to say? Ooh, we can't hear you. Are you just muted? We can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me, Baba?
Now we can hear you. Yes, thank you. Yes, talk to us.
I say, yeah, I didn't have anything. I just wanted to thank you for your time and the information again is awesome. I love it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Tell me what part of the world you're in.
I'm coming from I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, but I'm originally from Louisiana, so I'm hoping to come down there to Shreveport and help out and see learn things from a different perspective.
I listen. You're always welcome. I appreciate you. We'll talk again soon. Where are
Thank you,
we?
sir.
Arisha Bemi? Did I call? Thank you. Arisha Bemi Dada. I like that name. Hello? Nothing? Oh, there we go.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, sorry. Yes. Can we see you? Is that possible?
I didn't have any questions.
Not a problem. I'm going to ask Fashe Goon, who I know has questions. Because there you are. How you doing? Now I know who I'm talking to. If you think of something before we over, just put the hand emoji up. I'm going to ask Yosa if she's got a question.
Okay, thanks, bye-bye.
Yosa? Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Abora Boye Baba. I was reading about this new type of human that's supposed to be born starting in 2027. Did you have any information on that?
Yeah, well, listen, evolution is an ongoing process. Let me say this about that. Oh God, you want to answer that question? All right, so it happened during the pandemic. Let me keep that generic. It required genetic alteration to defend people against deliberate genocide. You with me? Is everybody with me? You know what I'm talking about here? So the alterations that the mothers initiated to protect humanity from that insanity has caused some children to mature inordinately quickly. It's spooky, actually. And so I feel that Spirit on occasion intervenes to protect us. That's what time we're at. That's what we're going through. I also feel that we need to turn to the mothers for protection against that level of manipulation and insanity, and that we come together, we need to ask for specific guidance around those issues. And there has to be an evolution in order to survive. There's been so much damage to the planet, to the environment, to the air, to the food. If we don't survive, if we don't shift, we're not going to survive. I'll give you one example. The nuclear meltdown in Japan. What was the name of that city? Somebody help me.
Fukushima.
Fukushima. Yeah, if you look at the data about the release of toxins, based on any rational study of nuclear waste, everything on Earth should have been dead about 15 years ago. Everything, every man, woman, child, every plant, everything that you can imagine should be extinct. All right. The only reason it's not, in my humble opinion, is because ET intervened and blasted the toxins through a portal that kept it from infecting the earth. I mean, you can just do the math. Sarah, what's the most nuclear radioactive part of an atom? So, no, begins with a B. I can't remember.
Barium?
Barium, yes. Barium should have killed everybody, and it didn't. That stuff, everybody born since that meltdown should have genetic defects, and they didn't. So this kind of ties back to Diosa's question. The humans are changing. We're adapting to our environment. That's what we do. That's what co-creation is all about. The question is, are we going to do it minimal damage? Are we going to flounder our way in the darkness and let it happen on its own, which could create a lot of what I would describe as unnecessary suffering? Who asked the question? I don't remember now. Yeah, Diosa. Yeah, sorry. Does that answer your question, Diosa?
It sure does. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're the best.
You are.
Where are we? Sebastian, do you have a question? Hello?
Not really. Unless you have no, the word of no, I resonate with it. I experiment with different words and deities from various cultures, and I've experienced the resonance of spiritual development that happens when you use other words. But in English,
Okay.
I was wondering how I could what would be a good frequency of English, since that's, I mean, I know a little German because that was my first language, but I hear my dad saying things sometimes, or it sounds like my dad in German.
Based on the fact that you and I have history, here's what you need to say. Every morning, get up and repeat 3 times, I'm a good and blessed person. And own that,
Yeah,
be
that makes
that,
sense.
and do that.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sebastian. Cynthia,
Thank you.
did I call on you? Cynthia, is that right? I don't recognize that name. Cynthia Schultz, did you want to say something? Hello? Motorola?
Here I am.
Oh, here we go.
Yes, hello. Cynthia Schultz, I talked to you yesterday. Everything you said, I appreciate your knowledge. Oh my God. And all the scholars on the team here, it's very nice. And I'm just thankful to be able to connect with you.
Well, we're blessed to be in good company. I'm blessed because Iya Fajalabi keeps me honest, because if I get too far afield, she rolls her eyes, and I know I need to reel it back in and ask her to help me get it right. So we make a good team in that regard.
That's good, man. That's good.
And it sounds like I'm being flipped, but listen, I'm sincerely saying that. It's really helpful, because sometimes I get stuck or confused, and she has a remarkable way of bringing clarity to the conversation. Motorola, I'm not sure who that is. Do you have a question or a comment?
Baba, this is Iya Aduni, and aboye to everyone.
Gotcha.
I don't have any questions or anything to add. I'm just enjoying the dialogue, and I'm learning a lot. And you just take our consciousness way out there and connect things for us. I deeply appreciate that.
Listen, I try, but it's, to be honest with you, it's not me. I was blessed. My Baba connected me to some stuff that just an unending source of information. That's the point of what I'm trying to talk about, So far, a lot of the information is about, okay, how do we preserve this tradition and build community? But I think we've got enough information on those topics to serve us well for a while. Now we need to take it to the next step, is how do we keep the planet from disappearing? You know, and I think those are important questions.
Yes, you know, it's an infinite connection and reconnection throughout the universe. So when you start going
I
on those
agree.
levels, it's like, wow. You know, you go to sleep at night and the masters come and meet you and teach you, and you know,
Right.
it's just this is a beautiful religion, and I'm gaining more every time we connect on here, and just period. And I'm just deeply grateful.
I'll listen and likewise. Hassan, did you want to say something?
Ashe Baba, Alafia and family. This conversation is very, 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 very deep. Because I've been studying the chakras and how to open my chakras and been showing through the crystals, and each crystal has a color. Each crystal has an angel connected to it. And I've been far as Sufism, I've been studying on a path of Sufism for some years now without even knowing it. It's all connected. Sufism, shamanism, it's all a degree of knowledge that we enter into. It's like sacred knowledge. Thank you, Baba, for helping me so much. I love you, bro. I love you, man. I love you, and you elevated me to another level where I found when you go into, I chant ahad, 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 which means one. When you connect with the one, that means we're all interconnected. Once you can see the birds, the trees, and everything that's connected, then you could go to the universe and worry about the stars. First, we have to deal with this earthly plane because it's different levels to this game they call life. And it's different levels of elevation. It's different levels of vibration. And the more I find out more about the different colors and the vibrations that they exude, I would say, it's beautiful. Like amethyst, you can't get no higher than amethyst. Amethyst is the crown chakra. So once we could start connecting with our crown chakra, which is the portal to the universe, we can connect. I found this out to be true. And another thing, Baba, when I chant Ya Salam, Ya Salam, every time I say Salam, Pele comes up. It be like, yo, Salam, Pele. I can't escape it now. I can't. Every time our family name pops up, I say Ya Salam. That means peace on the family, peace on our family, peace on our family, peace, to us, because we're one. Once you can connect on a universal level. And another thing I found out, it feel like I'm on Noah's Ark. And the books that Noah had on the ark, they kept from me. I'm really kind of peeved about it. But thanks to the brothers and sisters in Ethiopia, they held on to certain books for us, so I could study more about Enoch and Metatron. Once you get to know the Metatron and Sandalphon, which is Metatron is the opening to the tree of life, and Sandalphon is the exit. I don't want to go too far because I'll tell you, I'm just blessed, man. I can't even count.
Hassan, I need to close down here soon, so I need to.
Okay, I'm gonna check out right now.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Nasa, did you want to say something? I'm sorry, I've been slow to get to. Yeah.
No problem, Baba. Alafia, everyone. Can you all hear me? Yes,
we can.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. I've been a long time remote student of yours, Baba. I have almost all of your books, and when I didn't have a teacher, you were my teacher, and I'm blessed to have this soon come to me. One of the Babalaos that I was working with at one point had told me that Iyami can sometimes start your initiation remotely. And so you just might start getting different cues and codes and different things to follow in your dreams and when you are interacting with birds. Do you find that to be something that is true as well? What's your perspective on that, Baba?
Well, sort of. I think, it's a narrow road here. This is, Iya wants to answer that. I'm gonna let her answer.
I just have a tendency to work with people and they don't realize. What? Can you hear me now? Yeah. I'm sorry. I have a tendency to work with women when they choose to when women are prepared to make a move forward. Me, women automatically don't realize that they of a woman, you're already connected. You're already connected, and it's up to us to recognize that connection. Once we start recognizing it, then those objects that are in the EME, that are part of that EME, begin to work with us as they see that we develop. Okay, they won't. It's not up to they. Well, I don't know if it's up to them. I can't speak for them. But what I can say is, from my own experience, RJ work with particular energies when those energies present an ability that they can work with. And so, yes, some women, most of the time, women are already astral traveling and they don't know it. In dreams, and not just dreams are the indicators of astral travel. A lot of people associate it just the dream traveling, but there are other indicators that let women know that they are astral traveling. Now, I've found also that men do astral travel, some men, and in the dream process, but it is different. It is just different. And so, yes, your training actually will be with RJ as they decide, as they see your own development. And as you develop and your connection with them becomes more transparent, they'll work with you. Yes, anyone, they'll work with you. I say.
Jonathan, I'll get you in just a second.
Thank you, Iya. Thank you so much. Gratitude. I'll do both.
Did we answer your question?
I think she said. I think she said thanks.
Oh, okay. Toronto made a comment about
Baba, you're still on mute.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. You
listen, Baba, Metatron has.
You still muted. You're still muted.
I wanted to comment to Geronimo's comment in the chat room about Metatron. Metatron is used in different ways in different cultures, but Metatron is a reference in sacred geometry to one of the Platonic solids. Metatron, if you take the Merkaba, which we all know and understand well as part of Odu Ifa, the Merkaba is supported by 13 spheres within the sphere of the torsion sphere that holds the two three-sided triangles, pyramids in place. So that the symbol related to Metatron is really the initial point for the transformation of physical world that is described in the process of alchemy. So it's a fundamental concept to sacred science around the planet. I would also associate it with the spiritual impulse of Elah. You with me, Geronimo? Are we on the same page? Hassan, okay, whoever made the comment. Jonathan, do you want to say something?
Well, 2 points here. Going back to like the stones in the pot.
Just mute, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Here, wait a minute. I need to turn on my sound, sorry. That's
Okay.
on me. Okay, now speak.
Am I coming through now?
Jonathan. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So 2 points. Going back to the stones in the pot and like all the colors and associated with each chakra. That's why quartz is so prominent throughout Earth. It is the universal like key. Essentially, you can program quartz to do freaking damn near anything. It is like a clean slate. You can program it to keep time. Like if you look in all those quartz watches, there's actually a piece of quartz in it that keeps the time. It's a record keeper. Now, from that point to when we were talking about birds and how they're associated with the ancestors. So to really connect with the ancestors is to listen to the voices of each bird, because each bird's voice has a distinct frequency and tone associated to a specific ancestor of a specific energy type. Is that what I'm getting?
Okay. Yeah, listen, here's a point. In Native American culture and in Iami culture, the ritual process of working with birds is the process of working with a specific bird, which you then slaughter and ingest the spirit of that bird, so that that bird can then move in and out of alliance with your spirit to function as a guide in the ancestral realm. There is, and I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but there is a tendency in the diaspora, the New Age movement, to think the image of a bird is sufficient, and it's not. There's this spirit of a specific bird, which is typically slaughtered in your mouth, so that you can ingest the spirit instantaneously. Because once the spirit's out of the bird, if you don't ingest it, it's gone, and you've just killed the bird. And so what? So there's a ritual process associated with that that's very ancient, very specific, very traditional, and for reasons that I won't explain to you, I happen to know that the women in this family do it very, very well. I won't mention Iya Fajalabi and Shango Jamie and Efuntayo by name, but there are a number of women here that have that skill set big time. I missed a few, I assume, as well. And I'm sure in Night Sky's culture, the vision quest is based on that principle. It's not based on speaking with a generic animal as a teacher. It's based on speaking to a specific animal. Am I right, Night Sky? Have I got that sort of right?
Because I have a tendency of having birds come to me, and usually they're passed on. So that's why I'm kind of going, what's really going on here? Especially when I had an owl drop out of a tree after eating a poisoned rat, right? So
is a slightly different phenomenon. I'm making the clarification here so we don't confuse the two. Animals will come into our life as a sign of something, but not necessarily as a spirit guide. There's a difference between those two phenomena. Listen, this guy agreed with me, so I'm on good footing there, I think. Listen, I've been blessed to be on a First Nation vision quest or two, and they're significant experiences, that's for sure. All right, so unless there's any other questions, any other hands, I think I'm going to call it a day. Listen, last thing, if you want to come to Chicago, whenever that date was, I think 25th or the 29th, if you want to come to Chicago, please inbox me today. Make a note, my phone blew up, so I posted a new number to get a hold of me. Otherwise, inbox me on Facebook, whatever that's called, the phone, Messenger, Facebook Messenger. If you want to come to September in Shreveport, I'm going to sound like a used car salesman, but please, please let me know soon. It's booking up fast. What I've got is I've got a clubhouse reserved already which will house 12 people. I've already got 8 initiates, but there's also 3 log cabins, for lack of a better word. There's also a house which is a little prohibitive, I think, financially. There are three log cabins that'll hold 4 people each, so we can probably accommodate 20 people. I know a lot of people like to sign up and then stay wherever. That's not going to be possible out here for a whole lot of reasons, not the least of which is if you're staying off the campgrounds here, I'm going to have to go to the door every time you come, and that's not going to work. So please, 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 please try and take the suggestions for being on campus. I'll give the positions in the main house to the first people that let me know they want to come, and then I'll reserve the log cabins as necessary. There is a place across the street where you can rent a teepee with a bed. So that's another option for the strong at heart. Camping is not Shango Kami's strong suit, so we won't put her in the teepee. That much we know. Sarah has the same thumbs down reaction, but I don't know. Geronimo, are you a camping guy? I don't know. We'll figure all that out. So I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to get something to drink, and then I'm going to sit and wait for any phone calls that are coming my way.
What's the dates again, Baba? Give the dates again.
Yeah, I'll give you the dates. I got to look it up. So give me a minute. All right. So Chicago, we're doing. Chicago is 23rd, August 20th to 29th. We will be doing it at Sandy's house. Sandy has 3 bedrooms, probably 4 or 5 beds. I'm going to be doing a day-long lecture and public ceremony for Ayla at Mother Africa's Botanica on that Saturday. We're going to, for those of you that haven't seen the experience, we're going to make Odu pot for Yolanda, for those, Yolanda's son. We're also doing a tefa for a young man that's got severe challenges. We're doing that as a family pro bono because of his need. And there'll be possibly some people coming from Mexico. So that's quickly filling up as well. September is the 21st to the 25th. We've already got 8 initiations lined up. And it's a beautiful, beautiful spot. And I'm hoping to see as many people as possible there. And then October 23rd, we'll be in Florida somewhere. Maybe Uncle Kami's house, maybe, not sure yet. She doesn't know that. Look at the surprised look on her face. We'll be somewhere in Florida in October, and then possibly somewhere in Los Angeles in October. So we have a busy schedule coming up. The event we did in Texas was on beautiful land, beautiful people, beautiful ceremonies, but the bathroom was a shovel and a roll of toilet paper. So that's only for the strong of heart. That's not for everybody. So we're going to put that low on the list of priorities because there's no chance certain people that I need to help me will come to that environment. Look at, see that look on her face. So last call. Any questions? We good? Listen, Ariade, do you have access to my messenger? Oh, she left a phone number? Okay, I got your phone number. Okay, we'll go. I'll call you very, very soon. Who's that? Diosa from everyone? Yeah, listen, Diosa is doing the logistics, so it'll go through her. She's coordinating it with Mama Africa for use of her beautiful, beautiful facility there. She's got a combination Botanica, African clothes store, spiritual bookstore shop, and she does a lot of wonderful stuff there. So I'm happy to support her work and go from there. Do you want to say anything, Shango Kami?
No, Bob, it was good seeing everyone and hearing. So I'm about to plug into some frequencies right about now.
Say, Geronimo, you got any final word?
I think he's.
I guess not. Okay, so I'm gonna shut it down. Everybody stay safe. Know you're loved and appreciated. We'll talk again.
Dabo, everyone. Dabo.
Dabo. Thank you so much, everyone.
Dabo.
Be blessed.
Dabo.
You too, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Go Dabo.